You know, I'll be real honest. I don't really like talking about coaches that could lose their job. Honestly, I don't like talking about anybody that could potentially lose their job, but hey, this is big business. In big business, you have to perform. And if you do not perform, you will lose your job. So this video is all about the coaches that I feel like that are on the hot seat. I am going to combine the NFL coaches and the college football coaches because my channel is all about football. So I'm talking about them all. All the coaches that I believe are on the hot seat before the season starts are going to be in this video. Some of these coaches might surprise you. Some of them you might be like, yeah, of course they're on the hot seat. They probably should have been fired last year, but it is what it is at this point. So let's get into talking about some of these coaches. The first coach on my list is going to be Zac Taylor, mainly because I believe the Cincinnati Bengals went out and got every single thing that they could to make this team a competitive team. Now, obviously, the Joe Burrow of it all, he keeps getting hurt, so that is impacting Zac Taylor. He has went to the Super Bowl. I understand all of that, but the interesting thing is Mike Tomlin decided to step down for whatever reasons. He didn't think that he was leading the Steelers the way the Steelers should have been led, and Harbaugh was fired. So you can look at Zac Taylor and say, he should be okay, right? The Bengals are doing everything they're supposed to do. Healthy Joe Burrow equals success for this team. Or you could look at Zac Taylor and say, now that they've gotten rid of Harbaugh and Tomlin, Zac Taylor really needs to step it up, because who's to say he's the coach for right now, and who's to say he's the coach to lead the Bengals? I know a lot of people will think I'm insane for adding Zac Taylor to this, but another thing that's going to be impactful here is going to be the success of the new coaches for the Steelers and the Ravens. Because if the new coaches do very well and perform very well, why would the Bengals stay loyal to Zac Taylor when they've seen new coaches come in and make immediate impacts? Just something to consider, because a lot of the league's new coaches are coming in and they're making impacts. So I'm just calling it out here. Zac Taylor could potentially be on the hot seat if the season doesn't go the way that's supposed to go. The next coach I have is Todd Bowles, mainly because I'm not even sure if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers knew that Todd Bowles was going to be their head coach, and if they like him being their head coach, and if he is supposed to be their head coach. Again, he has success of winning. I understand that. He has a great defensive scheme. I understand that as well. However, what is he really bringing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that they might feel like they can't go find somebody else? That is the question, because lately, a lot of these teams are trying to go to offensive coaches. Todd Bowles is not an offensive coach. So again, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have one of those years this year where everyone's kind of looking around and being like, what happened to this team? I would not be surprised if they parted ways with Todd Bowles this year. Well, hello there. If you're seeing this, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to double check and make sure that you have subscribed to my channel. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. And if you think about it, turn on those notification bells so you never miss a single video. Let me tell you about a couple of college coaches. So it should be no surprise I'm going to add Dabo Swinney to this list, because Dabo Swinney has failed to adjust. And when you have failed to adjust in college football, that lands you on my hot seat list. So before the season starts, Dabo Swinney has to be on this list because he is too stubborn to realize that he might be the problem. So I'm adding Dabo Swinney to this list. The next team is South Carolina's coach in Shane Beamer. What is he doing? I don't really know what is going on. I don't even know why he's still the coach after last year. But hey, they're giving him another chance. So here's his other chance. If they tank this year, if they're not good this year, I don't even know if he'll make it through the whole season, because last year he arguably could have been fired after he gave up that lead against Texas A&M. But hey, what do I know? I don't hire and fire coaches, just my opinion, but Shane Beamer is 100% on this list for me. The next coach is going to be Mike Norvell at Florida State, another coach that I kind of feel like he's been there and now a year too long, but what do I know? So I'm going to be paying attention to him. What is he going to do this year? Is he going to be one of those coaches that is not going to finish the year? Or is this the year where he surprises everybody? I don't really know what to think of him. I don't really know if he's the right coach for Florida State. It just kind of doesn't feel right to me, but I am not a Florida State fan. I am just a watcher of college football. So Mike Norvell is 100% on this list because I just feel like he could be on a seat that is getting pretty hot. So just to recap, the coaches that I feel like are 100% on the hot seat heading into the season: Cincinnati Bengals coach Zac Taylor, Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach Todd Bowles, and then we have the Clemson coach Dabo Swinney. We're going to have Mike Norvell from Florida State, and then we are going to have the lovely Shane Beamer from South Carolina. Now, I decided to take this a little step further, and I wanted to add teams that I feel like just need to look better. I don't want to say they're on the hot seat, but people are definitely watching and paying attention to what is going on. The first one might surprise you, and that is going to be KOC. The reason why I have Kevin O'Connell on this list, for those of you that don't know, he's a coach of the Minnesota Vikings, is what is he doing? I don't think it is okay that you let go of a quarterback that then goes and wins the Super Bowl. Okay, cool. You wanted to draft JJ McCarthy, you got JJ McCarthy, and now what? Now you have Kyler Murray. So what are we doing? The offense looks a little stale at times. He doesn't want to run the football. To me, the offense just doesn't look great. But then you have a defense that is overperforming. So you can't win, although your defense is phenomenal. You're supposed to be an offensive guy, but you can't figure out your offense. You can't figure out your quarterback. Now, I know that a lot of teams can't figure out their quarterback. It's hard to figure out a quarterback, but if you are supposed to be a quarterback's guy or quarterback guru in air quotes, and you cannot figure out your quarterback, we have a problem. Do I think that KOC gets fired after the season? No, but if it goes bad and if it looks bad and if it just starts to kind of go off the rails, it wouldn't shock me at the end of the season if the Minnesota Vikings are like, thank you so much, but we're good, because that defense is stellar. And how long do you continue to have a defense that is stellar and an offense that has stalled whenever you have an offensive coach? Whenever there are a lot of offensive coaches out here in the NFL that want to keep a job. Now, they probably have loyalties to KOC. This one is probably a little wonky, but he does have to look better this season, and I will just leave that where it's at. The next coach I have on this list is actually going to be Lincoln Riley. Do I think they're going to fire Lincoln Riley? I don't think so. But when I think about this USC team, it's a laughing joke that he's a great offensive mind. He does all the things right, except for his defense always is questionable. They can't tackle. It's a running joke. We all know that, right? I believe he has brought in a solution to really help that defense. I believe that USC this year should have a defense that makes sense. But what if they don't? What if they don't have a defense that makes sense? What if it goes off the rails? What if it just doesn't look good this season and they get fed up with Lincoln Riley? Do I think they're going to fire Lincoln Riley? I don't know, but if he doesn't win more than 8 games, it's going to get a little dicey. Now, I actually happen to think that USC has a really good team this year, but again, this is a performance-based league. I need results, and I need more results. And when you're not giving me the results I need, why should I hold on to you when there could potentially be other coaches that are coming up that we can give this opportunity to, that we can get a good offense, but a really good defense? So for me, I'm watching Lincoln Riley, and I need him to look better this season. The other team I'm putting on this list, and it's probably going to piss some people off, but I really don't care, it's going to be Coach Prime. Coach Prime has to look better this year. His team cannot look like it did last year. His team last year looked like a team that didn't even realize that it was football season. That is unacceptable when you're making $10 million a year. I know a lot of people will say it is okay because he's bringing in that university so much money. This is happening, so much attention. Nobody cared about Colorado until he got there. Let me tell you something. They still need to win football games. And if you look at Coach Prime's contract, letting him go at the end of this year is not going to cost that university a lot of money. And hear me out for a second here. Everybody loves a comeback story. So a comeback story from her school who lets go of Coach Prime, who then has a new coach. Now everyone's going to be paying attention to Colorado the year after Coach Prime leaves because they're going to be wondering, was it Coach Prime or what is going on? So to me, Coach Prime leaving could actually positively impact Colorado football. Now, I'm a Colorado fan. I don't want Coach Prime to leave. That is not something that I'm advocating for. But when you look at the business, when you look at the results, when you look at all the things, he has to look better than he did last year. The last 3 coaches I had on this list, they have to look better. KOC has to look better for his Minnesota Vikings this year, specifically on offense. Lincoln Riley has to look better this year, specifically on defense. And Coach Prime as a total team has to look better. They have to at least get to 6 wins. At least 6 wins, in my opinion, is going to save Coach Prime's job. Anything less than 6 wins, it gets a little sketchy, it gets a little questionable, especially if they're still allowing 200 plus rushing yards. That's a different conversation, but I will leave that where it's at. But Coach Prime is on this list as a maybe. I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but he's definitely on the maybe. He might be looking at the hot seat, but he's not necessarily on the hot seat. And then the last coach I'm going to say here is Aaron Glenn. And do I think the Jets are going to fire Aaron Glenn this year if they suck? I don't know. And the reason why I don't know is because it depends on how they look. Because if you just look bad and you're barely losing games and you're hanging on and your defense is clicking and everything is working and we actually think you're really close to winning football games and then it just doesn't happen because the players, okay. But there were some moments last year in the games where I'm not sure if Aaron Glenn, I just don't know what happened. I'll just say I don't know what happened. So Aaron Glenn this year has to look better. Do I think they're going to fire him as of today of them making this video? It is July. No. But do I think that there is potential? that if his team looks awful, and if they don't look organized, and if they're not competitive, and they don't look like they're at least moving in the right direction, do I think that Aaron Glenn could potentially be fired? Absolutely. I absolutely believe that if Aaron Glenn does not look better this year for the Jets, he could potentially get fired. Now, am I saying that if they don't make the playoffs, he's going to get fired? No. Am I saying that if they don't lead the league in rushing yards, he's going to be fired? No. I'm not saying that he's on my hot seat list. I'm not even saying he's on my honorable mention list staring at the hot seat. What I am saying, though, he needs to get this team looking better. He needs to get this team looking like a competitive NFL team because he's in a division with the Bills and the Patriots. He doesn't have time to be looking like the Miami Dolphins. He needs to figure this out. Arguably, they had a really good draft because they had higher draft picks. So I need Aaron Glenn to figure this out. I need him to step into being a head coach. I need him to figure some things out. And I just need them to look better this season. They should have a good run game. They should have a good offensive line. I'll leave the quarterback up for debate, but who knows? I don't know what they're going to do, but I need Aaron Glenn to figure it out because he has landed himself on my list, on my preseason coaches hot seat list. But hey, we'll see what's going to happen. These are all the coaches that I have on my list. I have them on different tiers, different levels on my list. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I will never advocate for anybody to lose their job because it is miserable. I don't care what business you're in. I'm never going to sit here and say that person should lose their job. But if you're not performing, if you're not winning, if you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do as a head coach, it kind of just is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if I missed any coaches that you were thinking that I would put on my list. And as always, I will see you in my next video.